I expect you to die. The best of the best, you die. I expect you to die. I expect you to die when you finally see the worst side of me.
Hello, my fellow Bond fans and subscribers, and welcome to this very special review. Today's Bond review is a little bit different because for the first time on this channel I am reviewing a James Bond fan film, and nope, it's not my own one. That would be very pretentious of me. Today I am going to be reviewing the film titled I Expect You to Die, which was produced by Cusack Studios and was directed by Paul Cusack, Mark Teehan, and Colan Eardley. I hope I've pronounced that right. The film was released on the 30th of September 2021, the same day as No Time to Die, funnily enough. And I saw this movie come up a while ago and I took a look at it. I was looking through a few James Bond fan films and I saw this one and I was quite intrigued and I gave it a watch, and then I got in touch with the guy who made the film, Paul. I said to him I'd review it for him. I thought this is a good opportunity. I mean, he requested me to review it when he subscribed to me, and I said that's perfectly fine. So in return for him watching my Bond films, I'm going to review his one. This movie is, I believe, the second film in his Bond series. There's going to be 3 or 4 films in the series, and this is, I believe, the sequel. He's done a couple of other Bond films, I think, alongside this as well. So yeah, his third and fourth movies are going to be made at some point. I do actually have some details about the third, but I can't share them with you. I'm vowed to secrecy. Basically, it stars Paul Cusack as James Bond, and he goes to investigate the workings of this organisation known as the Inner Circle, who are trying to be Spectre 2.0, so to speak. And throughout the film, we see him talking to a member of the Inner Circle, pretending to be a man known as Ian Fleming. Love the reference. And we're seeing sort of flashbacks of what happened when Bond was trying to uncover the mystery behind the Inner Circle, where he encounters this trail of villains that are leading him closer to discovering the truth about this organisation. And the film isn't long, it's only 20 minutes, but that's basically the general gist of what it is. It's pretty simple, but there you go. So, what do I think of this movie? Now, I'm going to just say right off the bat, all my reviews are constructive and are not meant to be seen as offensive or derogatory. I'm just giving my honest opinion. And, I mean, Paul's a very respectful guy. I've spoken to him on Facebook and we've become friends. I'm sure when I do give my points, he will understand. But I will have a mixture of opinions, actually, with this. In my opinion, I Expect You to Die is a very solid Bond movie. I really enjoyed it for what it was. Is it perfect? Unfortunately, it isn't perfect, Paul. I'm so sorry. But for the most part, what you have achieved is pretty damn good. The stuff I really like, I think Paul's a good Bond. I honestly think he's good. He kind of has this era of Sean Connery and Pierce Brosnan. Well, I mean, that's not necessarily just because he's Irish. He has an Irish accent. He's from Ireland. The film was made in Ireland, and Ireland is actually a great location for a Bond film. They should actually consider shooting one of the official films there. But anyway, yeah, Paul definitely brings the sort of ruggedness of the part to the screen. I mean, I guess there's an element of Daniel Craig and Timothy Dalton in there. So he's got, aspects of each of the Bonds. Well, minus Lazenby, I suppose. I mean, he gets involved in the action sequences as well, and he really gets physically into the part. You can see that he has a love for James Bond. That radiates on screen, and you can see that he has a real passion for the character in the way he plays him. I think now that Daniel Craig has resigned from the role, there's a potential for a replacement, and, I mean, he is the right age, so, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, no, Paul's very good. And he did a great job as well, helping to direct the thing. You can clearly tell his vision is on screen, and it's quite well done. The other actors aren't quite as good as him, but they are good. And it's nice that we get a couple of 2 or 3 sort of villains, but there isn't really a central antagonist. I understand this is like a piece of a story that will, I guess, be one massive series, but it did feel like a sort of trail of villains that didn't really go anywhere. Well, it kind of did go somewhere with the guy who he was talking to at the beginning, but it would have been nice for the villains to maybe have a bit more time on screen. That just would have been my personal opinion. And I did enjoy the performances from the actors, but I felt like they could have had a bit more time to just flesh out the characters. I couldn't really distinguish one villain from the other. Again, it's still an enjoyable film. It's just my opinion. Also, Paul knows this, but the sound, yeah, there are a couple of sound issues for this film. Couple of bits of shaky camera work and a few shots that are a little out of focus, at least how it looked to me. Again, those aren't too much of an issue, but the sound is the main one. I mean, the sound is a common difficulty with low budget films. Believe me, I know. I've experienced it, and for the most part, the sound is pretty good. But sometimes the actors do speak a little quietly as well. So maybe perhaps if the actors projected a bit more when they were on camera, or maybe if you turn them up a little bit in post, that might have helped. Sometimes it's hard to hear the dialogue, but for the most part, I kind of got the gist of it and I understood it. I have to say, I really appreciate the references. You know, Paul's a big James Bond fan. There's nice references. I mean, the title, first of all, I love the title. The title is amazing. I Expect You to Die. Genius title. And a lot of Bond fans would dig that. So good job, Paul, for choosing that title. Also, the references to On Her Majesty's Secret Service were really nice. The fact that it ends with Bond visiting the grave of Tracy. He has a bouquet of flowers, and that's really nice. The last shot, the final shot in the movie, made me jump out of my seat. I was like, yes, that is amazing. When Bond is looking down at the grave, and in the background you've got this sunlight. I mean, if all of the shots looked like that, you would have a masterpiece. I mean, because wow, that cinematography is just that. For a low budget film, that is beautifully captured. That is really beautifully shot, that last shot. The cinematography is good, actually. To be fair, compared to some of the other works that I've seen from Cusack Studios, the cinematography has improved since some of their earlier work. And there's a great sequence when Bond is being tortured by one of the villains, and there's kind of like a cold light of day look to the piece when everything's in blue, and it actually looks really, really cool. And I think all of the on-location stuff is great, and the stuff in the forest looks really great. Occasionally the footage does look a bit bright. I don't know if Paul brightened it up in post-production, or whether he actually shot it at that time of day. Maybe that was the natural lighting. Part of me thinks he did brighten it and change some of the lighting in post, but it still looks very good for what it is. And again, for a 20-minute film, it's he's really done well to make it look as good as it has. I also like the song, that I Expect You to Die. I know it's not an original song that they composed, but the song itself is really good, and those titles are fantastic. Those are some of the best titles I've seen in a Bond fan film. I've seen a few of the Bond fan films out there, of course including my own, and I think honestly his titles that he has for this film are some of the best. They are exceptional. They're really good. I mean, obviously you can tell that it is a low budget, but for a low budget, it's pretty simple, but it's pretty effective. As for the story, I like the story. It does feel like, obviously, a piece of a saga. So the story begins with the main story already in progression, and the story ends with kind of the main story in progression. There's not really a sense of finality. I guess it does feel a bit like a TV episode, but in a way I still like that, because he's ended it on a good note, which means that I'm intrigued to see the next part. Also, pretty nice gun barrel. I have to say that the gun barrel at the beginning was impressive. Again, for a low budget piece, and the way that Paul walked to the camera and turned and posed was very cool. You can clearly see he's studied the gun barrel poses. He's studied every inch of James Bond. He's a massive fan. I mean, he's read the books and he's seen all the films, and again, it shows on screen the passion and the dedication that the guy has to the part and to the world of James Bond is amazing. The action sequences are pretty good. Again, other than a minor shaky cam, the action is pretty well done, and I think they went for a sort of brutality towards the fight scenes, which was really good, and I think that they pulled it off. And the use of Bond music in the film is obviously nice and appreciated, and again, the film's only 20 minutes, moves at a very good pace, and of course I love that moment at the end where the guy he's been talking to all along, when he's posed as Mr. Fleming, again, love the reference, when he says, when he reveals his identity, and then he says, "Do you expect me to talk?" And he says, "No, I expect you to die." Again, perfectly done, lovely reference. Again, just those little things really make it for me. One other criticism, sorry Paul, sorry, please don't kill me. One tiny thing I have to say is that you kind of missed an opportunity. I don't know if you ever intended to include the MI6 regulars in person, but it would have been nice to see them. I mean, this is just my opinion, but I would have loved to have seen M and Q and Moneypenny. I mean, we hear, I think, M and Q's voice at one point, but we never see Moneypenny, and there's no female characters in the film, sadly. It would have been nice to have a Bond girl as well. I think that was also a missed opportunity. Again, it's Paul's vision, you know, he can do what he wants, but I think maybe for the next couple of films, I know he's already mentioned something about a Bond girl, but it would be great to see more of a female cast if he can get some, because I think, you know, even if they're only there to sleep with Bond, okay, fine, but, or if they're there to kick some ass, also fine. I just think, you know, adding a bit more diversity to the cast would be great, but for the simplicity that this film is, it's pretty well done, it's pretty stylish, and it definitely captures the old classic vibe of Bond, and again, the incarnation of Bond that is Paul Cusack is definitely inspired by some of the other actors, and you can see, again, you can see you can see it radiate on screen. Paul is very talented, and I don't want this review to seem like I'm bashing the film, because I'm not. I really do like this film. I think it's very solidly done. It deserves all the views that it is getting and more. And I look forward to seeing Paul return as James Bond, because James Bond will return, as it says at the very end. So I hope that was okay, Paul. And as a final rating, I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10.
I expect you to die. The best of the best, you die. I expect you to die. I expect you to die. When you finally see the worst side of me, we'll finally be eye to eye.
It's very good for what it is, but I know that Paul is going to go all out for his next two. I just know it. So again, I hope that was fair, Paul. I hope that wasn't too harsh, and I hope that you understand it's just an opinion, when I'm sure you do. And thank you very much for the request. And if anybody else has any fan films that they've made, or low-budget films they've made, doesn't have to be James Bond, I would be happy to review them. But until next time, thank you very much all for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya. Bye for now.